Being an entrepreneur is not easy.
Oh, listen, welcome to entrepreneurship.
It's not easy. I was going through serious depression. I was really drinking heavily, like heavily. So 6 months, within the 6 months, the structures were up. So I felt that it was important to create a space where girls here are also able to have a facility that has all the equipment, the right coaches, the right coaching, and that's how that started. I would call it hustling because you're working 1,000,001 hours.
Yes.
And a lot of my friends at that time didn't have kids. So of course, people want to continue having their fun. And here I am.
Raising a family.
Raising a family.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was very close to my dad. Oh my goodness me. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay to feel.
And then of course I was feeling overweight. I was big. I basically, you can imagine, I wasn't taking care of myself. So for me, it was more to just understand and know how to take care of myself.
Hi, I'm your host, Roseanne Kamau, a certified nutrition coach with a background in psychology. Here on Hey Sugar Podcast, you will learn how to live a healthy and sustainable lifestyle without dieting. I'll be teaching you practical tips that you can incorporate in your unique lifestyle. I am going to help you break any dieting mindset traps and show you that a healthy and sustainable lifestyle is doable. So if you're ready to change your life for good and create a healthy and sustainable lifestyle for yourself, then this is for you. Let's go.
At 30 years old, she lost her father. Then she lost her brother. Then the life she had built for over a decade in the United States. Now, in the thick of grief and with 3 young children, 8, 4, and 4 months, who were depending on her, Grace made a decision that most wouldn't dare. She would return home, not to start over, but to rebuild. And what's followed has been nothing short of remarkable. She's built 2 powerhouse brands from the ground up. Elite Gymnastics Academy, now the largest of its kind in Nairobi, and CrossFit Bovita Gym, a thriving space for strength and community. She went from pediatric nurse to becoming a successful entrepreneur, from mourning the death of her father and her brother to building a legacy. She's gone from broken to unshakable. This is a story not just about fitness. This is a story about grief, about grit, and grace, literally. It's about what happens when a woman decides to take life by the horns, even when her world is falling apart. Grace, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to our Hey Sugar. I mean, we cannot start with tears.
No, I know.
And honestly, when I read your bio and I wrote your bio and looked at it and I thought, oh my goodness, you know, as we're crying the tears, you guys, we're going to take you back because this is my girl who I have known for many years. And I knew you through my younger sister, who you were very close with in the US.
Yes.
And we both moved back to Kenya.
Yes.
And so what we're going to do, Grace, is you're going to take us back because your story has been absolutely remarkable. In this season, inside our Hey Sugar podcast, we're talking about rethinking. And your story is one about a woman whose life was completely headed in a different trajectory. You've made some decisions and decisions which have brought you to where you are. So before we even go to that, let's go back, and take me back to who's Grace? Who are you?
A mom.
A mom.
2, 3 children.
3 children.
18 years, 15, and 11 years old.
Wow.
And an entrepreneur.
When you look back, and I know your story, as I've shared, I know your story, and I know a bit of your story. And what I want the women to take out of this story is I want them to hear the journey that you've been on, and I want them to see the resilience which I've seen. Because we've been together, we've been talking. In fact, when we met today, we're like 10 years later. Because I was like, Grace, I want you to go share your story with the world, because it's a beautiful story. And it's a story of resilience. Do you want to take us back? Do you want to go back to the US, or where do you want us to take us? Like literally take this story and take us back to where you want to take us back before we come to where you are in the present. What did your life look like before things changed?
Before coming back?
Before coming back, because it's your journey. Wherever you want to take us and where you want to start.
I mean, living in the US is not easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you go? Let's start there. When did you go to the US? Was it right after high school? How was that journey of you going there?
So when I left Kenya,
Mm-hmm.
I went to school in the UK. I transitioned from the UK to the US. And at that time, my dad was, having, what do you call it, medical conditions, or rather, he had at least renal failure, right?
So kidney,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, he'd had it for some time.
Okay.
So when I transitioned from the UK to go to the US, it was basically starting over. Because then there was that, my mom was the caregiver at the time, right?
So hold on. When you're in the UK, is that when your dad started getting sick, or he got sick when you moved to the US?
No, he was sick when we were in the UK.
When
I was in the UK.
When you were in the UK.
Yes.
And why did you move to the US?
Why? Transitioning from high school now, trying to figure out what do I want to do with myself.
Okay, so was it high school in the UK?
Yes.
I don't think I knew that part, girl. I didn't know that part. That part I don't think I knew.
Yes,
so
yes.
from the UK, then you go to college in the US. Got it.
Yeah.
Why the US and you didn't continue to the UK?
Because I had siblings, and
Who
I thought
were
it was
in the-
easier to be close, to be close to them,
'Cause
get
now
the
you're
right guidance.
Got it.
And I'll be very honest, it wasn't easy. Reason being, how I raise my kids now is not the way my mom or dad did it. Not because they wanted, it's because they didn't know. So as you're growing up, you have to figure out what is it that you want to do as for a career, right? I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I needed to do something in the lines of medicine. I didn't get there. I became a nurse.
This was in the UK, you were thinking this way.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
I became a nurse now when I was in the US, but it was still a struggle because then I'm wondering, what am I doing? Yeah.
So when you moved to the UK, when you moved to the US, you went to the US and you became a nurse.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the journey started.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what journey? How was your journey in the US as a nurse?
I mean, I loved it.
Okay.
I was a pediatric nurse.
Yes,
I
so you
loved
worked
working
with
with
kids.
Yes, I loved working with kids.
Makes sense. I
Yes.
can see that connection now. Okay.
Yeah. Working with adults was not easy, but the kids, the kids are lovable and they're very innocent. Yeah. Along the way, I got pregnant with my first child. I was only 21 years old.
You were 21
Yes.
when you got your first baby.
Yes,
Okay.
21 years old. And of course, I was still working.
Okay.
As you know, in the US, you're working 2 to 3 jobs.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you need to make a living.
Yes.
You need to pay bills.
Yes.
You take care of the kids.
Yeah.
And there's the way you want to live, right?
Mm.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
That's baby number 1. Then baby number 2. Of course, we had issues, with the kid's father.
Before we go there, how old? What's the gap between baby number 1, baby number 2? Are you still in college? Like, where are you in that journey?
4 years. I just graduated from nursing school.
So you graduate from nursing school. At 21, you're still in college, or you've graduated?
I actually was graduating the day I was giving birth. So when I was pushing out my firstborn, I was supposed to be walking down the
walking down the graduation aisle.
Yes.
I mean, that tells the resilience also. So you are doing these 2 things at the same time. You're literally birthing your career as you're birthing your first baby.
Yes.
Oh, how beautiful is that?
Yeah.
Then 4 years later, you have your second baby.
Boy. Yes. It was tough.
Yeah.
Being a mother.
Yeah.
At a very young age. So you have to pick between friends.
Yeah.
And the kid and the family, right? So of course I pick my kid or my family,
Yes.
right? So there are a lot of things that you have to adjust. So if you're going out with friends, meeting with your friends, the wasting time that you would maybe do here and there over the weekend, it was not a priority at that time. And a lot of my friends at that time didn't have kids, so of course people want to continue having their fun. And here I am
Raising a family.
raising a family.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so how was that journey as you're raising your children, as you're seeing your peers are now having fun? How did you take that? How was
It's
that for you?
difficult because it's, you know, when you're pregnant to the point where you're going to give birth, you don't have a manual, right?
Talk about it.
So you're not told when you deliver, you're going to, these are the steps. This is how you start. No, there's nothing. So you have to figure it out, right? And as you know, of course, in the US, you don't have the liberty to have nannies.
Because they're either very expensive.
Exactly.
It's either you stay home or you're paying for a nanny. Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
right. So at that point, of course, now staying home, nursing the baby, and then knowing at some point I need to go back to work.
Hold on, is that what you did? Did you stay home?
For 3 months.
Oh, you did stay home for 3 months.
For 3 months, the standard 3 months.
The standard 3 months that they give us.
Yeah.
Shush.
That's
Okay.
it, right? And then went back to work. Okay. Not easy, because then at that point I had to shift to a night shift. So that then during the day I'm home with the baby, you know, motherly duties, clean the house, cook, do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the same cycle.
Yeah.
Monday to Sunday,
Oh,
same
God.
cycle.
Gosh. You know, and when I look back, and I think that time we were very young, because now you're young, you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
It's not like we're making a lot of money. You have 2 kids. You're now trying to raise this family. You're doing all these things. What's coming up for you? Because now you have your spouse that you guys are with together at this season. How is that? And it's very, very, very hard.
It's challenging.
It's very challenging.
Yeah, it's very challenging.
Yeah.
So being very young, having a kid at a very young age, I believe at that point, maturity, trying to have that understanding, living with somebody else is not easy. So trying to get to a common ground, which obviously is not easy.
Never has.
It's not easy. When you have, when you have kids, there's the concern of a woman, your body, how you feeling mentally. You don't have that support. You don't have, the community where you're like, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
Take the baby. I need time to go and take a break. You do not have that. You do not have that space.
Which brings me to now a question. Because most of your friends did not have kids. Were you then the one in your friend group that had the kids early? Like, were you the... So that was even double hard on you, because I know your mom was in Kenya, you're in the US. How's your dad doing at this time? And where was your support system?
I wouldn't say I had a support system. I had my siblings, but everybody's busy.
Yeah.
And you can't blame people, for people being busy.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to start relying on, of course, babysitting services or somebody coming to watch your kid. So I'm trying to remember when I had my firstborn. At that point, we were in Chelmsford, Massachusetts. I would call it hustling, because you're working 1,000,001 hours.
Yes. Yep. I relate.
Right? Because there's bills to be paid.
Yes.
And stuff has to be paid.
You
and
gotta
at some
do it.
point, that kid has to go to school, right? And we were very intentional of how we wanted the kids to start learning, which we opted to go for the Montessori way, which of course that was considered a private school.
Yeah, it's private. It is private.
So the working, you had to work.
You gotta work to support, because you gotta pay the school fees. And so you're doing all this. Life is happening for you, and at some point things begin to take a shift. Do you want to take us through that?
Shift in what direction?
Within your career, within your work, and when you're deciding, I need to go, I'm coming back to Kenya.
So that was back in 2014.
Yeah.
Now this is now fast forward to when I have 3 kids.
So you now have baby number 3.
Baby number 3.
Okay, let's talk about yeah.
So Ashley was 8 when I was coming back to Kenya. My firstborn was 8. My secondborn was 4 years old, and Amani was 4 months old. So she was very fresh. Never burnt by the sun.
Never burnt by the sun.
Never seen the dust.
Yes. The beautiful Kenyan soil. Yeah.
So at that point when I was coming back, my dad was really ill.
Okay.
I knew he was ill. And they had traveled to India to seek medical care. So let me rewind. Prior to him going to India, he had been to the US to get a hip replacement. So he spent about close to a year with us.
Okay.
Between the hospitals, the physiotherapy, all the, all those things to make sure that he's able, and he's healed and everything. And then now fast forward to 2014, the hip was really disturbing him, and I think it had kind of the metal had eaten up the bone.
Ooh.
So now the doctors now had recommended that he either goes back to the US or we figure out what to do. So because it was not going to be sustainable, because then at that point he was not walking, right? So when he went to India, they were there for I don't remember for how long, but he was really sick. Yeah. So yeah, so I was very close to my dad. Oh my goodness me. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay to feel. It's okay to feel.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So when he was in India, he traveled with my mom. And then at some point, my older bro had to, go in and, travel to keep my mom company, because he insisted that he wanted him there. So we don't, so what my mom says now is there's something you could feel or see, because he was very persistent.
That your brother go.
That my brother goes. And at the point when my brother got there, I think my dad passed away maybe, must have been a week or 2 weeks later. Yeah. And I used to talk to him every day. So prior to even him going to India, I would get on a call with him, driving to school, picking up the kids, 3 p.m. US time. I think he maybe would have been 11 p.m. at night. Every day I was on a call with him. Hi, Dad. He would keep me company on the phone. I would drive to school. And then when I would get home, then we'd get off the call. So at this particular moment when he was in India, at some point, he wasn't answering my calls. So I would call my mom and I'm like, Mom, why isn't my dad, why isn't Dad answering? And he's like, no. He said he's going to call you. So I think in that point, how I interpret it is he was trying to detach. Well, that's how I interpreted it. Yeah. Because he did not call me at all. At some point, I think towards the point where he felt something was going to happen. Yeah. Because so now he passed away, right? That was back in 2014, Feb, right? So that's when I came back to Kenya, because then I needed to be here for the funeral. And that's now I ended up in Kenya and now started rebuilding myself.
And I think what I want to build, because I know that part of your story, is how when your dad was in the US, not only did he stay with you guys, but how you and him used to talk literally every single day. And I remember the imagery of you, whenever you are leaving your house, going to pick up the kids, you were on the phone with him.
Yes.
And for me, I just thought that was such a powerful, it's almost like your thing, you and Dad, that used to do.
Yeah.
And he knew when he got the call, you're in the car and you're going to pick up the girls or the kids from school, coming back. And as soon as you got home, you'd put... So the day you told me that, I just thought, oh my God, I love that relationship that you and Dad built that. Anyway, so you end up coming back home. So take me back. So you're coming home, obviously, for his funeral. Not an easy thing when you're traveling and you've been called to come for your...
Actually, I think I packed in less than... I think within 10 days I was here. I don't even think 10 days.
Yeah.
I exited 10 days. I just said I can't. I need to be here.
Yeah. So you come back here. And then when you come back here, you come to Kenya. Obviously, the funeral happens. Take us, what happens from there? What do you decide for yourself, and what's the shift that happens?
So, so at that point, the kids needed... So now the two older, Ashley and Austin.
Because this time they're how old?
Around 8 and 4.
8 and 4. And then you have the little one.
Yes. So because of the time that we came back, they needed to go back and finish the school year.
Of course, yeah.
So now they travel back with the my mother-in-law at the time to go finish the school year. And then they came back in the summer, right?
Yeah.
So at that point now, that's when I decided I'm not going back.
Yes.
Like for me, I wasn't going to turn around and go back.
Yeah.
For so many reasons. I felt that I needed to do a lot of healing mentally, emotionally. And it wasn't easy because I was living with my mom.
Yeah.
And at that point, my mom did not understand.
How you're not going back to the US? The land of milk and honey, and you want to stay in Kenya?
Yeah, she just didn't. She did not really have a clear picture of what had been going on when I was in the US, right? And honestly, I mean, relationships have instabilities.
Correct.
But sometimes the instability does not call for you having to be in it. Because I know for me it caused a lot of damage, mentally and emotionally. I was very emotionally dependent. So it was, and you know, when somebody lands you to the point that they know how to trigger you. So it wasn't as healthy. And I don't think it was healthy for the both of us, right?
And for the kids.
And for the kids. And I know a lot of people say you need to be in it because of the kids. I totally get it. It's the kids they need both parents. But when it's affecting somebody to the point where you're crushed and you feel your self-esteem is north, you just feel like, where do you start? How do you rebuild yourself? Especially when it comes to mental health.
Mental health.
Yeah.
And the next time we met at CrossFit.
Yes.
And I remember you telling me you're here for your mental health. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
So 2014, I'm back. Lived with my mom. At some point, I moved out. Was living with the kids. I knew I needed to do something about myself. I knew I needed to find a space where I'm able to take care of myself away from just the normal hustle and bustle, right? So I tried a normal gym, just like we all do.
Before we go into the gym, if you don't mind, and share what you feel comfortable sharing, obviously. Excuse me. Mental health. I think I want us to touch on that because it's something a lot of women struggle with.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that with me even when we met at CrossFit. But what were you feeling, or what had you noticed that you said, I need to and what made you decide the gym is what's going to help me? Did you see a therapist? Like, take us through that journey.
I know you'd asked me if I'd ever seen a therapist. I've never seen a therapist. I'd never seen a therapist at that point. 2016,
excuse me.
Let me say 2015. I was going through serious depression. Okay. 15, 16. And then at some point I got out. I was going through serious depression. I was really drinking heavily, like heavily. And at the time I would go somewhere and I would text my older bro, hey, I'm here. So that he knows where I am. Because I would do the normal routine. Drop off kids at the school, go do work, pick them up, do the normal routine, do homework, get them ready for bed. When they sleep, I'm gone. And I just go to a bar and I sit at the counter by myself and drink, then go home. So I did that for some time because then I was going through some serious emotional and mental issues that I didn't know how to sort them out, right? So at some point, my older bro sits next. We go have breakfast, and he tells me, I can smell the alcohol from your skin. I'm like, what? Of course, he knows what my routines are, but now it's basically saying you're drinking too much to the point that you don't even know you're drinking too much. Because I know for sure for someone who drinks a lot, what happens? Usually, I guess it seeps through your
skin.
The skin.
Yeah. When he tells you that, what do you think?
And then something else that also triggered me was I would get home, or when I would pick up the kids from school, and I would just scream at them for no reason. now
Snapping.
I'm just, snappy. You're just being angry for no reason. Okay, there's reasons, but not reason to the kids.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
The kid hasn't done anything wrong to me.
Yes, they haven't.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just me and my own issues and my own dramas. So now they've piled up and I'm here busy screaming at the kids. So my older one tells me, Mom, why are you always yelling at us for what is it that we've done? So those small things that Ashley would tell me is then I would be like, okay.
So that woke
it's
you up.
not healthy.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I did was, when I decided enough was enough, I literally pulled myself out from everything, like society, like people. Like I just went and decided I need to fix myself. Because if I don't fix myself, I'm going to affect the kids. And if I affect the kids, at some point, these kids are going to be looking at me and saying, it was your fault. Or it's because you did this. Or it's because something.
And yet, when you were in high school, you had made the decision, I am going to raise my kids differently. And so you're seeing, this is not the way I had envisioned. I wanted to raise my kids. So your brother comes and tells you, I can smell alcohol. Your daughter tells you, Mommy, you're snapping at us. And is that when the turning point happens and you're like, all right, I truly have to shift?
Yes.
That's the turning point.
Yeah.
And so what's the thing that in your mind, you're thinking, what am I going to do? So what do you do?
First of all, I spent a lot of time, with myself. You pick up, you go home, pick up the kids, go home.
Are you drinking at this time or no?
No.
You've now decided no more drinking. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Okay.
I go home and, you think within yourself, right? I look at the kids, they're playing, they're happy. And then, of course, I was feeling overweight. I was big. I basically, you can imagine, I wasn't taking care of myself, right? So all those emotions of, I don't look good or this is going on. And I think what happens is, as much as you might be out there in the world and walking and putting on makeup and doing all these things, you have other internal things that are going on that a lot of people are not aware of, right?
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time within myself and tried to, spend time with the kids. And of course, around all that, there was also issues of, instability with the relationship with the kid's father at that time, right? So that was also affecting me in so many ways because, the kids are torn. They're wondering what is going on or there's just some sort of instability that wasn't making sense. Yeah. And at that point is when I was thinking within myself or whatever I was going through, and I just locked out the kid's father for some time. Okay. Because I felt I needed the space to breathe. And I felt I needed the space to rebuild myself emotionally and mentally. Oh. And not to say that he didn't deserve to see the kids. It's just that I feel that communication was never... we had not gotten to a point where it's a common ground. Like now we talk, I'll call him, I need this, or I'll call him, I need assistance with this, and he'll tell me, do this, do that, or we co-parent, and we co-parent very well. That's awesome. Right? That's awesome. So I think he also may have needed his space, and I needed my space, so that he can also fix himself, and I fix myself, so that now we come together and we're able to co-parent the kids, because they do need their parents. Yeah. They do need their parents. Yeah. But it's not easy. Someone might say, no, just let them see the dad. Now when you're seeing a figure that you are spending so much time with and they know how to trigger you and all these things, and you're not having the space to breathe, then at what point are you going to heal? At what point are you going to heal? And you also got married very young. Yeah. You started having kids very young. Yeah. So you didn't even fully know who you were as a young maturity, age. Yes. But you hadn't matured. Yes. So it's almost like you have this beautiful boiling point of different life issues that come on, then compounded by the death of your dad. Yeah. Then you come back home and you're thinking, okay, how am I going to... So I can see that storm and how it's building up. And how are you able, Grace, in this moment? Let's go back. You pick yourself up and you're like, all right, you sit down, you stop drinking, and you're like, I need to take care of my body. I've also started noticing I'm getting not healthy.
I want my mental health to be good. I want to be good emotionally. I am putting physical boundaries with my dad's dad's kids.
Yeah.
With
Kids' father.
Kids' father. Kids' father. We're
Yeah.
putting the boundaries there.
Yeah.
So I'm beginning to notice you're beginning to take steps.
Mm-hmm.
Stop drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries. Then because this is not where we then meet again at CrossFit. So, which by the way, I saw you rope climbing and I was like, how is that little girl? How is her body?
I don't even think I can still rope climb, but it's not easy.
No, I'm sure you can. Yeah, I'm sure you can. I mean, I'd watch you climb and I'm like, I remember telling Wilson, I want to do that.
Really?
I did. So anyway, take us back before we start rope climbing. You decide you want to start because you start looking at gyms.
Yeah. So I visited, I think the main gym, the one at Village Market, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You go there. Yes, it's big, it's pretty, it has all the equipment, it looks fun.
Yeah.
The washrooms are big.
They're beautiful.
Everything looks beautiful,
Yeah.
But then, at the same time, is it going to serve you the way you want it to serve you, right?
Because what are you looking for? What do you want to be served?
Yeah, so for me, it was more to just understand and know how to take care of myself, right? Because now you see when you walk into a global gym,
Yes.
you have to figure out how to use the 500 machines that
Oof.
are in there.
Yes.
And then, they have those pictures of you work this muscle, you work this muscle, you work. So now, for me, I tried it. I went there. And then, actually, through that process, I met a coach. Coach Lignone, she used to work
Yes,
at
I know
BMX.
Lynn.
Yes.
Lynn. Yeah.
She used to work there. So she approaches me and she's like, I've observed you training. Would you be interested in having some personal training sessions? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then she said I wasn't the easiest person to work with because I always had a serious face, which I didn't know.
Which you do have, and that's true. I can see that. But I mean, okay.
I didn't know. So, so I do VMX, and then I discovered CrossFit Kwetu.
Yes.
That's now where I started CrossFit.
Yes.
And what I liked about it was fine. It was, you walk into a CrossFit gym, I'm sure like when you did.
Yes.
And you feel intimidated because of what people are doing.
And folks are moving, man.
Yeah, and they're moving, right? And you can't move like them.
Yeah.
But then when you come to understand and know that you don't have to necessarily move like them, you just need to start where you are.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then I start where I am. And then you start understanding your body's, you have deficiencies in your movements. So you know where to correct and what to do. And when the coach is correcting you, you're already conscious enough to know, I know. I know my sport.
Okay,
sawa. Because already right? So now I started the fitness lifestyle.
You started the fitness lifestyle. Now, as you start the fitness lifestyle, you're doing the boundaries, you stop drinking. What changes are you noticing? What's happening for you? What's happening in your mental health, your emotional health?
Clarity.
Oh.
In terms of, I think because of everything that I was going through, there were so many things. Kids, spouse, father. My mom is wondering what's wrong with this child of mine. My brother is like, what is wrong with this one? Right? So I think the mental fog was heavy.
Ooh,
right?
No kidding.
So at some point I started feeling I'm actually being able to think with clarity. When you go to the gym, you work out. There's that feeling of I'm great. I can do this. I can push.
Oof.
I can, face anything, right? Because in the gym you're pushed to a certain extent. And honestly, I feel like in the gym and out of the gym, they almost complement each other because when you're being pushed in the gym, you have to go deal with the world, right?
And the world can push you.
And it's going to push you.
Yes.
So building that mental strength. And I think that's what's really helped me build the mental strength. And just the fact of, filtering and removing the unnecessary things around me that don't make sense. And just being comfortable being in my four walls. For me, I always say I'm so okay being home in my four walls, just minding my own business.
And not drinking.
And not doing all these extra things.
Okay, so this is so powerful, Grace. And it's so powerful because what I'm hearing, and you've painted such a beautiful picture of who you were, but the transition, that decision. And the part that I want folks to listen is that part of solitude, where you come to yourself and you make the decision, this is not the life that I want, because you are living out of alignment. And how do you know you're living out of alignment? You made a decision in college. I saw how, not that my kids raised them differently, but I'd like to do things different. That's how you started sharing your story. And so I'm beginning to see that picture of how you're living out of alignment and not in your values. But you get pushed so much, and you decide, because this is what I want everyone to hear, how she made the decision to think differently about her life. And you put yourself in situations which made you uncomfortable, which made you grow, and which then made you decide, even with the grief, because this for me, Grace, I've always said, you truly inspire me. Because I came in and I saw what you were building, and I was like, wait, Grace, you've been through so much. What got you to decide to do what you're doing? Because at some point you then lost your brother.
Yes. Yes. That was in 2020. 2020.
In 2020.
Yeah.
Had you started building?
No.
Not yet.
No.
Take us there.
Was it 2020? 2020.
COVID.
Yeah,
2020 was COVID, yeah. The year of COVID.
So after.
It was after, so 2021 maybe.
Yeah. So my current business is a vision I've had for some time. So I'll just rewind.
Yes, please.
When I came back with my firstborn, at the time she was 8, she was doing gymnastics in the US. When I came back here, there was nothing. Because, when you come back, you're trying to find the similar activities that the kids are used to.
So
right?
that there's an element of continuation. Exactly. I get it, girl.
Yeah, continuity for them, right? But it's reality. Disruption comes in because you're not going to get it, right? So she outgrew it, right? She outgrew the sport because then she wasn't doing it, right? So my son, of course, was doing soccer, but of course it's continued.
Yes,
but it's been a
soccer here.
Yes, but also it's a struggle because the structures and until you get to the point where you have a good coach, then you're like, okay, I think I've gotten it right.
Yes.
Right? So anyways, we come back and Ashley loves gymnastics and she, at that point, I couldn't find, I Googled. Of course, you'll Google and see something somewhere. But then at the time, I think I was living on Thika Road and it was Lavington, and, trying to do all
traffic.
that.
And there's the Nairobi traffic. You gotta deal and handle.
So, and then now that my 11-year-old started loving gymnastics when she was 4 years old, I took her for ballet dance and gymnastics. So she'll do all the three. And then at some point, she dropped dance. So it's so funny because she hated dance to the point where at some point when the dad used to come and pick them up to stay with them for for the holiday, she would be dropped off and she cries because the dad would say, you like dance? She's like, no, I don't. I found it very weird. Right. She cried and she did not want to be left at the dance center, right? Wow. Then eventually we continued on. She was doing gymnastics and ballet. And then she said, Mommy, I don't like ballet. It's just too girly. And I'm like, what do you mean too girly?
Yes.
She's like, the point things and and I'm like, okay, fine. So what do you want to do? Gymnastics. So now I started, taking her for gymnastics, consistently taking her and seeing that she loves it. And then, of course, around the spaces I was taking her, I could see that kids really love gymnastics. Girls love gymnastics. And because my daughter has the privilege to travel to the US, when she goes there for the holidays and the dad would enroll her for summer camps, she's able to also be exposed to spaces that are not here. So I felt that it was important to create a space where girls here are also able to have the same experience, even if if they're not able to get on a plane. So a facility that has all the equipment, the right coaches, the right coaching, and that's how that started. Right? But it was insane.
Yes,
like it was something that was in my head. It's something that I had sat down with the architects for some time.
Yes.
For a very long time.
How long?
For a long time, 6 years. Would sit down, would go back, and he would ask me, are you doing this, Grace? And I'm like, I'm still thinking about it. Because, it's something that is very uncomfortable and it's something that is very, it's like, for me, it was imaginary.
I love it.
So meaning, it's imaginary because of let me say what people say, the magnitude.
Of course.
Of it, right?
I mean, I've seen the
So-
space, and in fact, we're going to show the space here on our screen.
Yes.
So as you guys are seeing this space, it is humongous. It's huge. And this space, I remember when I came and I saw it, literally, my jaw was on the ground because I was like, girl, I know you have talked about this, but even me, I was like, I didn't think it would be this beautiful and this big of a space. When did you break ground, and when did you how was that process of building? How was the building process?
So when I decided to do it, I of course finalized with the necessary, the drawings, the architects, the approvals.
But you said it was 6 years before you actually broke ground.
Yes.
So take me back. When was this? The start, we're like, we're gonna do this, but then it took you 6 years. Why did you not take action within those 6 years? What was going on in those 6 years?
I think
as you're imagining.
So I was still, I was still grounding myself in terms of, now I've gotten out of that period where I was trying to fix myself.
Yes.
Emotionally and mentally.
Yes.
So basically I was a puzzle that was scattered. So now I was fixing my puzzle.
Beautiful analogy.
Right? So I have the puzzle, so I'm fixing it in bits and pieces. And then prior to even breaking ground, of course, now I have Ashley. Now I have to rewind a little bit. Ashley had left the country to now go to high school in the US.
Got it. Okay.
So of course, even that transition in itself was hard because it's conversations I'd had with her for some time. Ma, I'm not gonna be there. Your stepmom will be with you, dad will be with you. It might not be the same as it is here. So trying to coach her and let her know, yes, dad is there, stepmom is there, I'm here, but it will be very difficult because I'm not with you. So your expectation, I will meet your expectations, but the distance is also going to affect you.
Yes.
So that kind of let me not say threw off things a little bit, but I needed her to settle.
Of course.
First.
It will pause. You will pause on here until you fix that. That makes sense. Yeah.
Because then, phone calls, mom, I don't know if this is the right thing. I don't know if this is what I want. Because her statement to me was, Mom, if I don't go to the US and have a bond or build a bond with my dad, it's going to be your fault. So meaning, basically what she was trying to say was, yes, I'm 13, 14, but if by the time I'm 18 and I don't have a bond with my dad, it will be your fault. So basically she's telling me, I will blame you for the rest of my life.
Makes sense. Wow. Whoa.
Because then,
they
at the point where I had blocked him for the sake of him and myself,
yes,
to heal and to just move away from the negativity, they hadn't spent a lot of time.
Makes sense. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I also have to sit back, think about it, process it, and just pray to God that she'll be fine.
Got it.
So of course, she leaves. She gets there and she realizes, oh, I miss my mom. Oh, my mom is not next to me. Oh, I have to call my mom on FaceTime. Oh, this, and that. Right? So even for her, it was a little bit unstable.
Yes, of course.
So it was phone calls in the middle of the night. Mommy, I feel like this. So my phone was always on very loud volume.
Very loud. Let's just make it clear.
Yeah, because I knew she would call me
anytime,
all hours of the night.
Oh, yeah.
And whether it was night, Mom, she would rant and tell me this is what's going on. She doesn't care whether I'm sleeping. It's 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 1 in the morning. They all know I sleep early. So it could be 10 p.m. I'm already in bed. That's none of her business.
Right.
What she wants is me to be on the phone so she can rant. Then we troubleshoot it.
Yes.
So I used to say I troubleshoot in the middle of the night with my kid.
I love it.
So we troubleshoot. Now she's like, okay, hang up. And then we did that for some time. Eventually now where because it was a new high school.
Yes.
She's trying to make friends.
Of course, yeah.
She's trying to find the balance.
She's transitioning into a new season. Yeah.
She's living with the dad. And she hasn't lived with the dad. She's a teenager.
Yeah.
So he's also trying to learn her. They're both trying to learn each other. Yeah. So there was a lot of
learning.
For her, I think it was very uncomfortable, which I had already prepared her. But I don't think she she saw it coming that way because she's like, no, but it's my dad.
It's my dad, of course.
We talk on the phone. I see him when he comes to visit. Actually, it's different when he's visiting.
Versus when you're living together.
When you're living
very
together.
Different. They're very different.
Yeah.
Because when you're visiting, it's always fun. It's the fun things, the good things. But when you're living together, it's life.
Rules.
And rules.
Yes.
And you have to follow.
So the dad has to put ground rules.
Of course.
These are the rules.
Yes.
Which is like,
I'm not so sure.
But I'm daddy's girl. Why do I have to have
rules, you know?
So
oh, great. This is beautiful. And I want us to go now because we're also going to do the takeaway session. But before we do that, we're going to fast forward. And we're going to go about, Ashley has moved. It's taken you 6 years. You're about to break ground, or you break ground. But can I tell you what I've loved? It's the way you've talked about the puzzles. That puzzle that was disconnected, and now you're putting the puzzles together. And as you're putting them together, you're grounding yourself, and it's taken time. And as you're grounding yourself, you feel, okay, now I'm ready to break ground and build this vision. Take this vision out of my head, which you've been working with my architects for 6 years. Let's put it on paper. Let's actually, let's not put it on paper, let's put it on the ground. You break ground. Take us through that process.
So that was when 2020?
We're in 25 now. Yes.
I need to rewind 23. Gosh, someone will be like, how don't you know the date?
It's okay. By the way, I'm not a date girl. I'm not a date girl, and that's okay.
2020, because last year October was 1 year. That was 24, right?
24. So 23.
23 October
is when you opened.
So I started, I broke ground Feb of 23. 2023. Yes.
And by October, the thing started?
Yes. So 6 months. Within the 6 months, the structures were up. So I literally started and moved.
Oh my God.
And I always say it wasn't easy.
Yeah, you told me that.
It wasn't easy. There was obstacles. There was a lot. I was there every single day of the building, 5 a.m. to like 9 p.m.
Oh my goodness.
So I'd be in trucks. Maybe sometimes there's some rubbers I had on that I would step on.
If we have
T-shirts.
pictures, I'd love all those pictures that we can show. Yeah.
I would go in, like I was there 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. 5 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Rebuilding.
Yeah.
You've like this now, when you felt like you were safe, you started building that process. And we also talked about the gym, how the gym gives you a sense of resilience and clear, because your story is a story truly of resilience. As you're doing this, you're working with the construction, things are working. I know you're bringing things from all over. Things are slowing down, schedules, etc. You finally decide, okay, we're ready. Like, take us through now. What happens with the gym, the space, the building?
So once I'm done, or?
Yeah. Once you build, because you start from February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September.
7 months. That's 7 months, right?
From breaking ground, putting things.
Yeah.
Did you sleep?
I did. Maybe my nights were maybe 4 hours long, 5 hours long. Yeah.
And at this time, as you're building, the vision is coming the vision is coming together. I loved you because you took us through the journey on Facebook. I mean, not on Facebook, on Instagram.
Yes.
Because I would see you showing the breaking down.
Yes.
I would see the things when they would come and you're storing.
Yeah.
And so you finally opened the place up in October 2023.
Yes.
In October 2023. We got the date right.
Yeah.
So you finally opened the space up. And it's been a year plus. How has that been? How's that journey been?
It's not easy. Being an entrepreneur is not easy.
Oh, listen. Welcome to entrepreneurship.
It's not easy. It takes a lot of... you have to be very patient.
Yes.
And you cannot expect growth
overnight.
It has its time, right? For sure, I can say for gymnastics, it's really grown. But I always say, I feel like, for kids, I wouldn't say it's easier, but the growth of gymnastics in Kenya is coming up, right? And just having a space where I'm able to provide quality, safety, those are the things that parents look for, right? I may have, complaints or whatever, but that does not lack in any business, of course, right?
Yeah.
But just the quality, the safety, the progress of the kids, parents really appreciate that, right? Because there's a lot of wrong coaching that goes on in gymnastics, right? And I totally get it because everybody needs to make a living. But at the same time, for kids who have potential, it kills their dream. Because then gymnastics is a sport where you have to start learning the right techniques and forms at a very young age so that you can build that through, as you get older.
You built something which was inspired by your children, yet they didn't quite, or did they do that from a young age? Like, it was missing when your kids were younger, but now you're able to provide that to other children.
Yes.
And can I tell you, your story is very synonymous to mine, because my daughter also loved gymnastics, one of our daughters.
Oh, okay.
And when we moved back here, in fact, as you said your story, you just took me back. Same thing, couldn't find. In fact, what we found, it was such a regression, and my heart broke because she absolutely loved gymnastics. And I wish she was able to get what you have now, because what you have is absolutely beautiful. And I love how you care for the kids, because obviously the passion comes from within, the way you're all about safety. So you have the elite gymnastics, and then you have the CrossFit, the strength. Yeah.
And the strength, the CrossFit for me is creating a space where individuals are able to come in and also learn about their bodies. Once you're able to understand how your body moves, you love the coaching. The coaches are good at what they do. They know their stuff. I think it gives a sense of comfort for the individual.
Comfort for the individual.
I feel.
Yeah.
Because then if I'm able to guide you and let you know you have deficiency in your squat or upper body, or you need to do mobility and all those things, those are things that you'd not otherwise get in any other gym. Because you don't have, unless you're doing personal training.
Yes, yeah.
You just go do your thing. And you live.
And you not only do they have that, but they also have community, which is something that you're huge on. Yeah.
Yes.
Creating that beautiful space for community.
Yes.
And so what we're going to do, you're going to give us the links. So if anyone wants to check out Gymnastics Academy, you can check on the link below. Anyone wants to check CrossFit Bovida, can check below. By the way, where are you located? Where is that located? It's on Kiambu Road.
Yes.
It's in the Ndegwa, Kiambu Road.
Quickmat, behind Quickmat.
Behind Quickmat.
Next to Green Zone Apartments.
So we're going to put all that information below. You guys, you've heard her story of resilience, of grit, how you get what you have in the gym, how she has put it in her life. And so, Grace, can I just say thank you?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being so open-hearted, for taking something that you struggled with, seeing the things that you were not able to give your kids, getting that vision from your head, and now you're actually impacting not just children, but you're also impacting adults.
Yes.
And I love that transition, because those children, you're building a foundation from a very young age.
Yes.
And I want to thank you. So now, as we move from our table talk session, we are going to be going to takeaways, and we are going to see what Grace has brought for us for our takeaway session. So let's move on to our takeaway with Grace. All right, now welcome to our takeaway session. Now in this takeaway session, Grace has brought for us some beautiful ingredients here that we can take away. The idea is to create a simple, balanced meal that you can take away, and it's going to help you. Now, Grace, when I look at what you brought for us, one of the things that I am so impressed by is your strength. And I always say it's so important that we are drawing strength from the foods that we're eating as one way to nourish ourselves.
Yes.
So when you think about strength, what does strength mean to you now? And as you share that, can you tell us what you have brought for us here for our takeaway?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we have strawberries, mangoes, raspberries, and spinach.
Okay.
And they're all gonna go in the blender together.
We're gonna put them in the blender together. What I love is all the different colors that you brought. We got green, reds, oranges, and a different type of red.
And the nuts.
And then you've also brought some nuts and some seeds here for some protein. Okay.
Yes.
So when you think about strength, and as you're making this food, can you tell us about strength? What does strength mean to you? And you can start putting, we can start preparing that. Yeah.
Strength means, for me, means being able to handle the most difficult situations in a composed manner, no matter how difficult it is, and not making it look like, because I believe every problem has a solution, right? Okay. So with strength, you're able to recollect yourself, think through the problem, come up with a solution, and keep it moving. Okay.
And keep it moving. Yeah. So I can see that you brought for us, so we've got mango, we've got our strawberries, and we've got our raspberries, which are great because they have polyphenols in them, and these are, just means it's medicinal. It's like food for our gut, and it's great for us.
Yes.
And Grace, when I think about your story of resilience, what have your daughters taught you?
I think for me, it's creating a space for them where they're also able to grow and become resilient, right? Of course, as a mom, I'll say single mom, you have so many problems that come up, obstacles along the way that may cause you to give up, right? But then when you look at your kids, you have to remember you have to be strong for them. So that, yes, it's okay for them to see you being weak, right? But it's also okay for them to know, yes, you can be weak, but also at the same time, you can be strong.
You can be weak, but you can also be strong.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can cry in front of them. It's because they also need to be able to know that they can also cry when they are feeling really low or when they're having a lot of things going on. But then snap out of it and, get a solution and keep it moving.
And figure it out.
Yeah.
Now I can see you put a lot of spinach. Now one of the things a lot of people are always worried about is the amount of spinach, and a lot of folks are like, should it be raw? Like, what am I gonna do? And they're saying you're putting it raw, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Spinach, you know what I love about spinach? It takes on the taste of the other foods.
Yes.
So you never taste it. The color might be green, but you never taste it. Okay.
And that's why you put the fruits so that it's sweet. And then of course there's the chlorophyll and all the good nutrients.
The good nutrients in the food.
Yes.
So you put like about a glass of water.
Yes.
And then are you gonna add your nuts and seeds now? Yes.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. And that's the thing with nuts and seeds, y'all. These things, they're punched with calories. They're great for you, but the pumpkin is great for hair. Zinc, it has zinc, so it's great if you have hair loss or you want hair growth. This is really good for you. Then that's flaxseed. It has your omega-3s. That's something that most of us need. So omega-3s are really great, and also fiber. And then we also have chia seeds. Again, lots of fiber, and this is going to fill you and hold you. And there's also protein in this. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Then we are gonna blend that.
Yeah, we're just gonna blend it.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
And that's good, right?
Oh, that looks good. I know the color. A lot of people can be turned off by colors, but I say sometimes, and it's good to eat. I say we reframe the colors, okay? So go ahead and pour that, because a lot of people might say, "Oh, this looks like." For me, like a mud. She's right, like a mud. I think it's beautiful. And in my head, I'm always thinking, I always imagine, and I'd encourage us to imagine what's happening when you drink this stuff, thinking of all the different colors that have meshed together to make this beautiful, gorgeous, amazing. Cheers, drink. Health in a bottle. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
It came like a mustache.
Oh, you did? She got a mustache. But then the kids can also do the mustache. So now, Grace, as we're winding down, there's a woman out there who is probably going through what you're going through. What would you tell her? What would you tell her when she feels like she wants to give up and she's not finding that fire within her? What would you tell her?
For me, what I would say is they need to maybe take a step back.
Speak to her directly.
Take a step back, right? Recollect yourself. Take time to think. Pick up yourself and keep trying to push through.
And if you notice, that's exactly what she did to herself. You guys, how amazing has this been? Grace, I want to thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing us what's possible when we are resilient. And yes, I would encourage everybody, like Grace did, to truly begin to work on creating those puzzles and putting them together like she did. And hopefully you too can create a healthy and a sustainable lifestyle. And as always, remember, you've got one life, you've got one body, and I want you to treasure it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.